Hi there, Sandra here. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different to normal. I'm going to be using plaster to make a trinket thing like this. Now I made this, I did not buy a mould for it, and the reason I didn't buy a mould is because the chances are I'm not going to make a lot of plaster things. I just fancied having a go. And I'm crafty, so you know, any craft virtually I will have an attempt at. So I looked online at moulds and I thought, ooh, ouch, ouch, those are a bit pricey. Can I try it without buying a mould? Because I may not want to do a lot of this. You know, I'm not going to be doing it for a business. I'm not going to be selling a load of them. Well, I'm not going to be selling any of them. I just fancy having a go, but I really didn't want to buy an awful lot of stuff. So all I have purchased specifically for this is the plaster powder. It's one which is Swiss made. I can't remember the name of the brand offhand, but I will tell you what it is down below. I have a ceramic tile which I use as a palette quite often when I'm painting. It's got some glue left on it, no problem. I have my powder plaster here, and that's 50 grams, and I have 35 mils of water. Those are the quantities that my particular powder uses. It's 70% water to powder. Now I've done a few different models with this, from very small flat ones to a larger one, and it's very, very good powder. Now I have absolutely no idea of its properties. For example, if you want to do candle jars, probably not the stuff you want to use. I have no idea. I have a print of my base design, and I have cut out on my cutter, there are, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 5 layers of craft foam, and I used hot glue to glue them together. I have my hot glue gun heating up in my cup here. Now if you're really fussed about the inside of your design, you could put tape around this, up to you. I'm not going to. I have another piece of foam which is going to make the outside edge, and a pair of scissors would probably come in handy, so I'll get a pair of scissors out. I have some baby oil and a brush for my release agent. I don't even know if that's strictly necessary with craft foam, but I didn't want to try it without. And what else have I got here? Oh yes, some permanent self-adhesive vinyl stuff. This is really, really cheap. It's contact paper, but this is the permanent one. It's the one with the red on the back. The blue one is the one which is temporary. And I got some sticky tape of different sorts. So first thing I'm going to do is stick this down onto, if I get that to work, just stick that down onto my tile so I don't want it to shift. Okay. Then I'm going to find the edge of this, hopefully not too much difficulty. That's unusually quick. Well, it is flat as you can get it, which is probably why it's a good idea to do it with most of the backing in place. I'm going to trim off this bottom piece so I can handle it a bit better. There we go. As long as it covers my design, it's okay. There. Now what I'm going to be doing is putting this in the center. Now this is the main reason for having this sticky tape here, is so that this stays where it's supposed to in relation to the edge. I don't actually need it this deep, it's just a scrap piece that I have there. So I need to put some glue along here and basically stick the two together. But the reason for having them apart is so that they will go in opposite directions. Give that time to dry a little bit. Once that's dried, you actually have that pointed area there, which if you don't actually cut them in half, it's very difficult to get it to do that. It will just kind of curve and it will try and spring back. So then you take it and you put that in the center, and you can put this around the edge, and because you have that self-adhesive contact paper there, you can follow the shape, and foam follows the shape quite nicely because it's bendable. If you do have any curves in your design, you can bend it, and then follow it around with this one. Turn it whichever way you need to so that you can see your drawn line. Going to cut off some excess just there. I'm going to take just a fraction more off of that, and then you can put some glue on this part. Make sure it is upright. Put glue around the base to stop any leakage. Going to put another line of glue in this crease here. Right, that goes to one side. Now I've got my plaster powder and I've got my water. If you want to colour it, this comes out white. If you want to colour it, there are different options. You could put a couple of drops of alcohol ink in. To be honest, I don't think that's the best way of colouring it. I think that's probably quite an expensive way to go. I did try food colouring. Even though it's a strong colouring, that didn't have an enormous effect on it. So what I'm going to try this time, because I've not tried this before, is some pastel colour. So I want to pick a colour out of this little lot. And I think I'm going to go for some teal. Now this isn't a really, really strong colour, but it's not a really weak colour either. All I do is I get a craft knife and I shave off some powder. Now you do have to be careful how much colour you add to this sort of thing, because you do not want to throw off your measurements. I think it's something like about 3 to 5% normally. I don't know, we'll see. Now is that solidified? Yeah, that is solidified. So all I have to do now is to mix up my plaster. Now this could possibly go out of shape a little bit. So the other thing I'm going to do is to put a piece of tape, I can get this one to cut, from here to here. So do it systematically. I don't have to go all the way up the sides of this because I'm not going to be doing it that deep. And this is a great advantage of having it on a tile, because you can pick it up, you can move it, you can see what you're doing. For mixing this and most plasters, what you want to do is to add the powder to the water. Now I'm just going to mix that colouring in first so that it's distributed through the plaster itself. I think if anything this is going to give me a very subtle green colour. I don't think it's going to be very obvious, and it may not even be obvious at all until it dries. The colour tends to stand out a bit more when it's dried off. Okay, and so if you just pop in spoonfuls and you just let it dissolve. As soon as you start to stir this kind of stuff, it activates. And when it starts to activate, it will then get thicker and less easy to manipulate. And to put it into a mould like this, you want it to be able to pour, not dollop. So when these have come out of the mould, you want to leave them for several days before doing anything else to them. You can do dips to make a marbled effect if you want. You can paint them or whatever, and you need to seal them. What you choose to seal them with is dependent on whatever use you want to put it. These are purely decorative from my point of view, so I will probably just use some acrylic that I've got hanging around. So that is more or less dissolved onto the water, and now slowly stir. You don't want to go really fast on this. You just want to try and make sure that it's all mixed together, you don't have any lumps. Now doing it this way, I haven't found lumps to be a problem. Because by the time I've got this stirrer into it, for the most part, it's dissolved into the water and there aren't any lumps in it. I'm not picking up lumps, and I am scraping the bottom and the sides. So this is like a double cream consistency, or a crepe, patisserie crepe consistency, if you're into that sort of stuff. Okay, I think that's ready for pouring. So I'm going to pour some in this side. And some in this side. Now when I did the first one of these hearts, I guessed that it was going to be 50 grams of plaster. It turned out that was exactly right, but it was purely guesswork. It's a 3-inch heart, and I'm allowing it to have quite a decent solid base on it. Okay, that's it. Now the cup, you just leave that to dry, and when it's fully dried, it will be easy to remove the plaster that is still on it. Now the other reason for having this on a tile for ease of use is you can do this, and that, whoops, that's how you make sure you get the bubbles out. You can use a pin if you see any bubbles popping up. You can use a pin. This is already starting to thicken. You can tap the sides. But I tend to keep dropping it until that is starting to set up to a point where it won't have any effect. I think I need to put some handles on here. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Perhaps I'll get my husband to 3D print some handles and I'll glue them onto my tile. This, of course, is going to be the bottom of the dish. This plaster also sands very, very easily. I left, the one that I did yesterday, I left overnight, and I've just taken the edges off to round it with a tool that I have. But I didn't have to do that, it was fine. It's just I prefer a slightly rounded look on the top on some items. But you can sand it with an emery board, you can sand it with wet and dry sandpaper, a fine grit. This particular plaster is very, very smooth and very, very fine. Okay, that's it. I'm just going to leave this alone for an hour, go have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and come back later to demould it. Right, it's had about half an hour or so to set. The stuff which was in here has pretty much dried. Just a quick squeeze here, and pretty much all of the plaster, yeah, all the plaster has come off of that, so it can be reused. Okay. With this, if you let it dry and use a metal scraper on it, like a wallpaper scraper, which is what I use for my mats, that will come off as well. Okay, I can remove this. Like so. And pull this off the bottom, and I can pop that out. So this is what the base of it looks like. It's not fully solid yet, and I did get a tiny bit of leakage under there, but that's no great problem. Just put a fingernail through that, and all I need to do is get something sharp to pick that out. There we have it. I did get a few little holes in there, but no real problem. When this is dried off a bit, you can file or sand it down. Now I have got ridges on the inside, which I don't actually mind, but if you didn't want that, you can either sand it off, or if you want to, you could apply a tape to this before you make it, and you could get rid of those ridges. I actually quite like them. Adds a bit of extra texture. If you want to make a top for this kind of thing, like a lid, you can use the same pattern. That's it for today. I'll see you again soon. Take care now.